This episode of Mediumship and a Meal.
This is Let's Make Ben Laugh moment. Hi, Ben. Want to laugh with me?
Okay, what do we got going on today, Hannah?
Okay, today we have a special segment for Mediumship and a Meal. I want to call it Spirited Snacks. It's where we're connecting with folks who are, I want to call like celebrated guests. They're guests that are well known out in the community who are going to be talking about all things spiritual, talking about their journey, and we're going to recreate a recipe that either reminds them of a loved one in spirit or just fills their soul. So either way, I don't actually know what we're making. That part is still the same, but I get to know in this particular segment today, I know who we're making it for. But Ben, I'm not telling you.
So we have our first official guest for Mediumships and a Meals special segment where we have a spirited little conversation as we dine about the dearly departed, all things in the spiritual community. This was my little tribute to Kimo. I said that, Kimo, Kimo's a light seer who visually sees, feels, and understands and helps us explore and educates us about energy and the energy in our bodies, the energy in objects, the energy of others, and how we interact with it, what it is, what it isn't, how it works, how it impacts our everyday experiences, and you do have such a grounded, down-to-earth educational experience, Kimo, that I feel like you're empowering people. I feel like the takeaway I get is that you want people to feel a connection to their own energy and the energy of others in a way that's kind of fun and uplifting and removes the spooky ooky I think that people can feel sometimes about the spirit world. So bravo, my friend. I do want to introduce everybody to you. So please, everybody, let me give a warm welcome to Kimo. And I've been practicing his last name, Kepano. Kimo Kepano.
What a lovely, lovely introduction. It's so good. You did so good. I should put that as my business boilerplate.
Okay, good. But also you're Hawaiian high seer, and you're known as the light seer, right? And this is the way folks know you on the social media platform. For today's episode, what we decided to do was have you still in the spirit of Mediumship and a Meal, where we recreate a dish that reminds us of our loved one. You did submit some ingredients to me that I have the option to put together and hopefully make something that resembles what it was supposed to be. And then you have a box in front of you of a game that I want to play with you that is food related, that you don't know what's in there. So there's two reveals going on, and I just want to know which one do you want to do first?
Let's do you first. I want to see what you did.
Okay, so with the first guess of what I think I'm making, the giveaway to me was actually of all ingredients. There's butter here. That told me, because honestly with the baking good ingredients, we got the flour, we got the cocoa powder, we've got the sugars, but the butter was my giveaway that this is not a cake, because we don't usually make cakes with butter. I'm not making muffins. I know it's a baked item by the ingredients, but the butter tells me it's likely a cookie. Okay, so we'll get started. Throwing all the ingredients together into a bowl and see what happens. Baking without a recipe, Ben, I just want to tell you, without any proportions or whatever, this is like magic. Like, thank goodness it's a cookie, because not having a recipe for another baked good, I'd be hurt, I'd be worried, at least not the proportions. But with a cookie, the best recipe secret, I'm going to give it to you, is a 3-2-1, which is 3 flours, 2 fats, 1 sugar. As long as I follow that, the cookies should come out okay. But I am a little nervous not having proportions. So this is a little big girl pants stuff going on here. I'm feeling a little bit nervous about this, but you know what? I've got some bowls and we'll just start throwing some stuff in it. And as long as the wet's going first, the dry's going second, I think we'll be fine. So I'm gonna start with the butter. So I got a little bit of butter here. And they're so cute. They're like the mini butters, tiny little butters. There's a teeny butter. So we've got 2 cubes of butter here, about a half a cup. So I'm gonna throw those boys in there. They're softened, that's good, because it's really hard to incorporate a fat. So I'm gonna guess then if we have about a half a cup of butter, the 2 cubes, and I'm gonna cream in the sugar, I'm gonna guess about, I'm gonna say about a half a cup of sugar, because again, the 3-2-1 ratio. So my guess is we're gonna pour in about a half a cup of sugar. These are your wets. I always thought it was interesting to call sugar a wet, but you always put your sugar into wet butter. So there we go, about a half a cup. A little extra. There we go. Throw that in there. And we're going to want to cream them up, cream it together. I'm going to just throw some sugar in there. There we go. Oh, perfect. Simple enough. And now this is where I get my arm workout in. Time to start stirring. All right, here we go. Okay, so there's something, how do I share something that I don't know I'm supposed to share? I have an inside secret while I'm mashing up the butter and the sugar and trying to get them to incorporate. But I'm kind of laughing that I'm making a cookie right now, Ben, because I did a ting. Can I tell you about the ting I did?
Tell me about the thing you did.
So the thing that I did is I decided for this guest who's coming on that I wanted to like ask questions, but I don't want to do the typical boring. You sit, I ask questions, rinse and repeat, right? I'm Hannah. I'm like, I got to make a game out of this. This has got to be a game. So I decided that I would send them something with a bunch of questions in it and for them to be surprised by how they got their questions, thinking like, oh, this is going to be really creative of me, right?
Speaking of food, you can now open your box. You have
Is
something
there
in
food in here?
I mean, they're okay. We're gonna open first, explain second.
For those of you who cannot see what I'm looking at this square-shaped box that on the top it says Curious Cookies on it. And I'm looking at all these little fortune cookies on it that says, do not open until interview. This is what I want the audience at home to see. So I'm looking at, it says, what does it say? It says Curious Cookies on it. And it's got these little cute fortune cookies on it. And this really beautiful box that says, do not open until interview. Can I open it now?
You can open now. You can open now because this is part of our game. This is part, we're going to dive into more questions about Kimo.
And it says scrumptious game inside. I love it. There's a little letter in here. We could play an intuitive game to see if I can see what it says beforehand.
Ooh, that'd be fun.
Oh, how sweet! So I'm looking at a monarch butterfly, a little mariposa, and how sweet. So it says, "Thank you for sharing your light with so many, and in a tangible, down to earth, and unique way. I hope you enjoy the scrumptious game." I love this. Okay, let's open.
Awesome. So here's the rules of engagement for this game that you're opening up. Are you ready? So what I did is I asked folks who are subscribers to my site to submit questions that they would want to ask you. And it was only subscribers were the only ones who knew you were coming on. Everyone else, they're going to be surprised by who's on this episode. And could they come up with a question that they would feel like if they could ask you in person or ask you maybe one that they haven't seen you answer before on any of your videos, to submit them. And then I selected a few and I put them into Kimo's Curious Cookies. And when you open them, it even has the name of the participant who submitted the question for you.
You have put so much work into production quality here. So much work into this.
I'm so excited for you to get to open them. So what we're going to do though is just ask you that, just using your intuition, you're going to randomly reach into your Curious Cookie box. I'm not suggesting you eat them since I had never made them before. I don't know how edible they are, Kimo. I want your teeth are too beautiful for me to mess them up.
They're definitely getting 8.
Okay.
So fun. Okay, I'm going to open the very first one. I cannot believe you got these messages on the inside of these cookies. Okay, I'm opening the very first one. This is from Tina. Hi, Tina. Tina says, a time in your youth, you bent the rules and got away with it. Oh. Well, so we'll talk about things that are unethical.
Before you evolved and on your journey here, everybody gets to know the evolution of you prior to where you are now. Was there anything you ever did that you go, maybe I wouldn't do that again?
I do that all the time. There's so many moments of reflection where I say, oh, no. I should not have done it that way. And I actually think that it's really helpful for us to always be in a state of evolution. Always. Otherwise, I feel like, and maybe you have seen this as well, when you meet the other spiritualists or mediums or psychics who get to that point where there is only a ceiling, and you realize, wow, you haven't had any more development since that thought process began. And there should always be development at all times. And even though I know that I can see wild, crazy things, and for me, Hannah, things are predominantly sight-related. Even though I tune into all my senses and I use that ability to work with doctors, but when I see everything predominantly as sight-related, if I were to make snap judgment of the things that I saw as a little kid versus the things that I see now, though they might look similar, intelligently, I have to communicate with it differently. Otherwise, I'm not getting the full volume of what spirit intention is. I'm just getting like the bird's eye view, and that's just judgment. So for me, when I bent the rules, I didn't realize I was bending rules as a kid. I would walk around and I would say all these kinds of things to people. You're working on this. You know, what's that? And why are you doing that? And my grandmother used to always say to me, no, no, which translates into you are so damn nosy, child. Yeah, because I was always looking inward. And now, having gone through practice and education, you realize it is always appropriate to ask. It is always appropriate to ask. And someone phrased it for me in the simplest of ways that they said, how would you like it if someone walked up to you and said, you want to talk about your IBS? You know, I don't have IBS, but my reaction would be like, screw you. Why are you looking at that? And I don't know you, but those are the kinds of things that I was doing just because it shows up for me when I take a look at someone's body. So definitely try to bend those rules. And I needed to be clocked. And I was clocked by other mediums. Yeah, truly, I was clocked by mediums who were more skilled than I was at the time. And I was being clocked by people who have gone through training processes. And for me, as a young kid in Hawaii, we don't go through the same kind of training processes. We go through Aboriginal training processes, which hold accountability in completely different ways. And I'm grateful for that experience, but I needed to be trained. I needed to be. I was just like a fire hose with no control.
You see, you say, you saw it, and you're excited about it, right?
Exactly.
I'm gonna spend an hour opening the bag. All right, so I'm gonna guess with that ratio of butter, we're gonna do a cup of flour. Oh, that smells good. This is a gluten-free flour because I can handle gluten, but if I can avoid it, I do. But cooking with gluten-free flour, the only thing is it gets crumbly. So you got to know what you're doing. And I kind of know what I'm doing from having gluten-free bakery. But even then, I'll be honest, the weather can change your cookie. It is a struggle. The struggle bus is real for anybody who actually cooks with gluten-free flour. It does make a more crumbly cookie. So yeah, a little bit of the cocoa powder. So when I was getting ready this morning, Ben, I got a little sign from my sister that she is here with us. So while I'm not making these for our special guests, loved ones in spirit directly, like, so we're not going to be bringing through channeling a message, I thought it was kind of cool that while I was getting ready this morning, I got a sign from my sister. So let me measure exactly how much I'm getting here, and then I will tell you what she did. What she did is so cool because she always says this. Oh, hold on a minute.
Now, did you and your sister used to cook or bake together?
So my sister was a big part of why I'm even doing this show, because one of the things that we loved to do together was cook. So the biggest thing was sharing recipes and talking about food. And it was basically all things food. 90% of our conversations would go back and center around food. So I wasn't so much baking. I think with her, we did more savory stuff. The baking kind of came in after. But she was an incredible cook. Oh my gosh, her Southern cooking was amazing. So I'm going to add a half a cup of cacao powder here, cocoa powder. There we go. And it's got the butter solids in it. So that's going to be my guess on the ratio. Right now, I'm just going to sift all that. Look how pretty this is. It's like Christmas. Dun, 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 dun. Isn't that pretty? Dun, 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 dun. Right, so we're going to sift out in lumps. And the reason you want to sift it, now I want to start singing sift it really good. There we go. Okay, here we go. So we got it all. Perfect. Sift it in. Nice. I kind of wish ahead of time I had actually like sifted the cayenne pepper in a little bit, but I'm a little nervous that if I put too much in, yeah, you can't get it out. But yeah, I'm just going to put, my guess is the Mexican cookie. A little heat goes a long way. So since it's a dump recipe, it's just, we'll just dump a little bit in. I kind of have an idea. Ben, I have an idea.
Talk to me.
I think I might be rolling these cookies in some of the cinnamon and sugar. So I'm going to add it as a flavor, but I think actually thinking I'm actually going to do a little like making it like a kind of a sugary outside a little bit. So I don't think I'm going to add all of this cinnamon in now, because I think I'm going to add it to make sure it has that depth of flavor. So I'm going to add just a whole heck of a lot of cinnamon. Oh, that was a whole heck of a lot. That was called a heck of a lot. We're good. We've got the vanilla in there. We've got the almond in there. Okay, and then we've got a little bit of coffee, which I think we're going to add in. And I need some orange zest. There's still orange zest here to deal with. We still have the coffee. Just trying to pull all the ingredients forward that I need to remember to use. I'm feeling confident about the dough. It's not too wet. It's not too dry. And now we're just going to throw chocolate chips in that make you happy.
Oh my gosh, next cookie.
Cookie.
I have a double cookie. This one is like merged. Oh my gosh, twin flame cookie. I can't even imagine.
Twin flame cookie.
Okay, let's break open the next one. How did you get messages inside? So skilled. What a skilled little medium you are. You're not little. But let's open this next one.
I am 5'3".
Really? You got big energy. Okay, this one is from Gigi.
This episode of Mediumship in a Meal is sponsored by Somebody Like You Mental Health Services. Somebody Like You Mental Health Services is our preferred mental health professional that helps us unlock and tap into the best version of ourselves. If you or a loved one are looking for a trusted professional to help navigate through your mental health struggles, you can visit www.somebodylikeyou.org and book a free consultation call today.
This one is your most memorable encounter with spirit. That's a hard question because we have so many, right?
That's a hard one.
We have so many. I guess I can't possibly say my most memorable experience, but I will say that my most exciting experience is when you see the person, the sitter, the actual physical human alive individual shift energy because of understanding from the other side. When that happens, so now we'll speak the language of medium and the language of seer, because those two things are not necessarily the same. As medium, when I'm sitting into that avatar and I'm helping spirit consciousness come through and make conversations with this other individual to kind of help them move through some kind of stagnation. When that person gets it, when they say that is my grandmother's name, and she would say things like that. When you get that moment of recognition, now putting on my goggles of seer, the whole entire electromagnetic energy around the sitter completely changes. Visually it changes, and this is, I wish everyone could just, it looks like plasma shoots outside of their body. It literally, it's like it pulls off of the body, which makes that electromagnetic energy field get large, much larger, quite expansive. Sidebar, as a little aside, when I started to meet with neuroscientists about how can I make more validation scientifically, when I started to meet with neuroscientists, all these weird things that I would say, well, the energy does this, and it looks like the electromagnetic field does this, when they would say, Kimo, we can actually validate that, meaning that we would measure people's electromagnetic field. And some neuroscientists believe that it can be measured up to 29 feet outside of the body, contingent on how much energy, emotion you give off. But some scientists believe that it can actually be felt much larger than that. Which is what I believe. We can measure 29 feet with our equipment, but there's also the things that we can not measure, meaning that it's the quantum field of energy. So for example, you and I on opposite ends of the United States right now, still feeling this symbiotic connection right now, technically would be, a quantum moment right now. Energy doesn't need to go 29 feet because we're more than 29 miles away from each other. Many miles and miles and miles away from each other.
Well, do you think that's also like mediumship though, where like when people will ask, right, how come, and this comes up as a question, surprise, surprise, how come my loved one can be communicating to you over Zoom if they're getting a reading from you, Kimo, right? You're seeing a loved one around, but they're with me as well. Like, how does that work? That's an energy. So I don't know if you want to talk about how that works for people, how is that loved one able to be in both places,
And I'll talk about the way that it visually shows up for me, and please interject. I would love to hear your opinion about this as well. When you're looking at spirit consciousness, because they are outside of body, they are no longer in need of dimensional form or dimensional thinking, in 3D thinking. So because of that, spirit is multidimensional, which means it communicates in multiple ways at the same time, which means that if you're at a funeral for your father, well, father energy could be around you, but around your mother and around your brother and your cousins, all at the same time, all getting variations of different experiences at the same time, because spirit is multi-dimensional now at this place, because it's no longer in the 3D body.
It's not contained. I just think about it like we keep trying to visualize this energy in this contained body, and it's just, to me, it's like sunlight. It's vast, it's bright, it's beautiful. It's the way I see the energy. It fills a space, and I'm more of a feeler than seer. I know you see things. The Huggable healer, I literally feel like I feel energy more. And I always say I want them to put those little probes on my body and watch where it lights up when the loved ones touch me, because I can feel their energy next to me, and actually see the energy. I'm sure you see the shift. I feel that shift. And so I can feel them next to me, and then I can feel them next to you.
I think if you get a cookie without at least 5 or 6 chocolate chips, that, it's a felony. It's a felony in the baking world. Felony. Okay, there you go. At this point, I'm just going to, I think what I want to do though is refrigerate this dough. See, it is loose though. and it's going to get it nice and firmed up. So I'm going to wrap it in some saran wrap, and then we're going to throw it in the freezer, and we'll leave it there for about half an hour or so, and then we'll get to cookieing it. That's what we're going to do. We're going to wrap this bad boy up. Now we're just going to take the dough and we're going to smack it onto the plastic wrap, and we're going to wrap this up. Wrap it up. Don't be afraid to get your fingers in there. Now this is where you can technically lick your fingers afterwards. Totally tastes like a Mexican hot chocolate. Like I can taste it right now. So we definitely have the right flavor with that. That's the flavor profile. I would ideally refrigerate this for like, an hour or so at least, so that it cuts slices easier. So here we go. We're just going to throw it into the refrigerator.
Okay, so this one says, what was the biggest hurdle you had to overcome in your life to do with your job? So the biggest battle to overcome specifically with tuning into what we do, when I was a young kid, even though I could communicate to spirit and it felt overwhelming to me. By the time I was in high school, I was like, turn this off. I don't want this. I don't like how it feels at all. I started to do readings on my teachers in high school. And one of the things that I learned very, very quickly is that when someone is in need of some kind of healing, for me, healings are physical manifestations of emotional stuff that's going on. If it's not like environmentally induced, I was in a car accident. Yeah. When it comes to healings, for me, when I try to like plug things back in, things that I can see, I would find that they would go back to being in disrepair within a few weeks. And it turned me off because I was like, I was too young to realize what I was doing. But what turned me off is I think that person doesn't want to be healed. They want to be fixed, but they don't want to be healed. So it kind of turned me off. But now, looking back, I get very excited because it was a big hurdle for me. But I don't view it that way anymore. Now, every single day when I work with my clients, this is going to sound so terrible. Don't judge me, community.
No judgment.
I look forward to people who are coming in with malady because it gets me to exercise my ability differently. Meaning that out of all the clients that I do every single day, when someone comes in with a malady, I'm like, great, dude, let's do it. Let's do it right now. Let's organize. Let's do this. Let's go through the body. Let's figure this out. Let's fix this. And I love that there was a hurdle that instead of saying, I'm never going to do that for the rest of my life, there was an excitement about it. But I had to let it be crazy, wild. I don't want to touch that bad boy for a while until I got to the point with development where I could say, let's now challenge the way that we're doing this business and let's see if we can be more helpful to the community. So the healing modalities is what I have a preference towards now, working with doctors. And not every doctor is open to working with me, but many doctors are open to working with me. So through that hurdle has now become one of my most favorite things to do every single day.
I love what you did. Like, that's a great thing to say. It's like, well, a doctor doesn't want a broken person, but they want the broken person to come to them so they can fix them, and be part of that healing process. You're not asking for people to be broken. You're just aware there are broken people. Let them find me, let them have access to me so that I can be of service. So I think you just reframed it in a beautiful way and understood your calling better is what it sounds like you're saying.
Anna, thank you for reframing it.
I just love the way you did that you embraced your calling rather than feeling as a burden. You found a place for it in your life that excites you. And I know that with mediumship, I took a 2-year break. I had burnout. I thought I had to help everybody. I thought and it was exciting, right? You're excited, like, wow, what's spirit going to say now? But it's just like, you can't go to theme park every day either. There's a point where it's just overstimulating.
That right there. 100%. Did you know that I think it was the beginning of last year, and I was doing 9 a day, and my sessions are an hour long, and it was too much. And same as you, I was like, but I love the assistance, and I want to be of help, and I want to help all these individuals. But at the very end, you cannot go to a music park every single day. You just can't. You can't eat that funnel cake every single day. Your body will go into a sense of alarm. So I had to greatly cut back, and I had to release the guilt. I had to release the obligation of doing it and say, I am of no use to the collective if I am of no use. Okay, so this one is from Brittany. Favorite guilty pleasure food? What Hannah is eating right now.
Is what you planned that.
Ben, I'm back. Guess what I got? I got the cookie dough. We're gonna give it a go slab of the cookie dough. That's a technical term. Oh, I'm gonna roll it in the cinnamon sugar. I just think it's gonna give it a nice crusty caramelized outside. So just like that. And I'm just going to put it down. I'm only going to make a couple of these guys this batch. Just press it a little bit, just a little. Why? Because I can. Okay. Perfect. Why did you make a ball and then press it? Because I can. Two. The oven, preheated oven, I put it at 350. All right, everybody's got to get in the oven and play together. So you just got to kind of go in and look and eyeball and see if it looks like it's ready, if we're seeing any browning on it. They've got a great shape to them. They're definitely looking yummy. All right, we'll pull them out. They look good. There we go. Look, oh, they smell good. Oh, it's like I walked into a chocolate candy shop. Ben, smell-o-vision should be a thing, my friend. I don't know if you can tell, but by putting the sugar on it, they've got this like little sparkliness to them. Okay, here we go. Wait. One.
Let's do you first. I want to see what you did.
Okay, here we go. So I recreated what looks like to me like a Mexican hot chocolate type cookie.
Yes, absolutely. I'm so impressed with what you just did. That recipe, well, I mean, I didn't give you the exact recipe because I didn't know the exact recipe, but I fell in love with those kinds of baked goods and cookies and more when I was working in Mexico. And I was a cruise ship entertainer for years, performing overseas. And I did several contracts out of the Mexican Riviera, out of going back and forth and back and forth. And when I was in Acapulco, I was exposed to these cookies. And I was like, what is this? The spice and the sweetness. I was in heaven. It just ignited all of my senses and I was in such a state of bliss. That's my go-to dessert now.
Okay, so that was my question. Was it connected to a family member? But no, it was connected to a community and an experience for you. And when you eat it, it kind of takes you back and transports you to that time.
Does. And you know what's so interesting about working in Acapulco is as a cruise ship entertainer, you know, you are port in the town and you do all the like touristy things, but that's not actually a reflection of who I am. What I wanted to do is I wanted to go outside of the conventional touristy areas. And that's when I began to communicate with the community about things that were just like I had my Spanish is not so good, but I had to like do the best that I could to try to make communications. And I went to the areas that were incredibly rural, meaning like they were like shanty towns and like kids who were just, you know, walking around with no shoes and no socks. And I was like, I want to know where you're going because this is so much more fascinating to me than all the tourists that I'm on board this massive ocean liner with. I want to go where you're going. So it is so much more nostalgic than I could articulate. It reminds me of dancing in Acapulco in the rain and meeting all these people and having to find a way to communicate with them. For me, not being a very good Spanish speaker. So good job. Good job.
It means the world to me that you sat here and you played this game and that you answered everyone's questions. And I know not everybody's questions got answered completely. We are going to have an after show where we're going to dive in a little deeper with some of these questions, maybe bust out a couple more cookies. But in case some folks don't stand for the after show, and Kimo, if they want to get in contact with you, if they want to learn more, how do they reach Kimo the Lightseer?
How do you get in touch with this crazy weirdo?
This amazing soul.
So there are multiple ways to find me. You can find me on my website, which is thelightseer.com. On thelightseer.com, I have monthly seminars. I do offer content, at least one video a day on my social media, on TikTok as The Lightseer, on Instagram as Aloha Lightseer. I'm also on Facebook. I'm also on YouTube, on all the things, right? Just to create a footprint. And you can research all my information. My website is very, very thorough, meaning that there's multiple ways for you to make connections, whether that's in a session, whether that's in some kind of seminar, whether that's in a workshop that you attend. There's always a way to find me somewhere.
And there's always good information. The way that you give information to people and the practical application and the joy that which you bring it. It's like opening when you, like you said, you post a video a day. It's like opening a thought of something to consider every day. I feel like I know truly as a practitioner, I'm a better practitioner when your videos come up and they give me something to consider. They give me food for thought. So I really appreciate that, Kimo, continuing to do your work that you do. And yeah, I hope folks join us for the after show, but if they don't, I just want to say thank you to everybody. Please make sure you like and subscribe if you like this content. Please make sure you like and subscribe to the Huggable Healer channel as well, where we'll have more episodes of Mediumship and Meal. And, yeah, I just can't say thank you enough. So thank you everybody so much. Bye everyone. Thank you.